Okay, so we know that Air Canada has reduced their amount of flights going to the United States. I showed Air Canada's announcements on their new travel destinations, and not a single one of them went to the United States. But today, I have a video that shows what WestJet as well as Flair Airlines are planning for 2026. And judging from the screenshot, I think you know how the report's going to go. And in light of our boycott, I'm going to show you three gentlemen who are in total denial about what's going on right now. In case you're wondering who these guys are, they're major CEOs for hotels in Las Vegas, who claim that what's going on right now is just going to be a blip. I also have a rare report out of Florida, and they actually admit they're trying to bring back Canadians now. Well, I have a question. Why would Canadians want to go back when you see people like this who despise snowbirds and Canadians visiting their state? Many of us won't stand for this, and we're already doing our part by boycotting. But it's also having an effect because events in Florida are actually being canceled now. So I'm going to get into all of this in today's video. The backdrop that you're looking at right now comes from Brent and Karen, who attended the Oilers and Leafs game not too long ago at Rogers Place. It's been a while since I've attended a Canucks game. I have a question for anyone that has been to a hockey game lately. Are we still helping to sing the US national anthem? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks Brent and Karen for sending this over. Okay, let's get to the first report, where there's updates from WestJet and Flair Airlines on what their plan is for 2026.
The Calgary airport says the number of passengers traveling to the U.S. was down 22% in December compared to the same time in 2024. Meanwhile, other international destinations welcomed 8% more people from YYC. The new data seems to reinforce a months-long trend of Canadians choosing not to spend their tourism dollars in America. Flair Airlines says it observed a decrease in demand for U.S. destinations early last year and decided to remove many of the less popular trans-border markets it previously served. The number of passengers Flair carried to American destinations in December was down more than 50%, from 75,000 to 36,000.
This is great news if you ask me. I mean, a drop of 53%. You have to consider as well that December is one of the most traveled months of the year. Typically, you would have people going south to visit their family, or just going to a warmer destination to get away from the winter. I've had people email me saying that normally for Christmas, what they would do is they'd fly to Florida as a family with all their relatives, spend a couple weeks there, and then head back to Canada. Instead, their family of about 20 plus people decided to go to Mexico instead of Florida. So they are included in this decreased number of people going to the United States. And I'm sure they're not the only family. Now, I know I talk about my emails a lot. I've been maintaining about an 80 email unread status for the last couple months. But the last couple weeks, somehow it jumped up to this. The community has definitely been stepping up in terms of helping with reports, giving feedback, and things like that. I'm going to do my best to try to get through them. I might have to spend an entire day looking through my emails and replying. But I will try my best. And I do appreciate everyone sending over their emails. Okay, let's get back to the report.
WestJet says it also saw a notable decline in demand for trans-border travel through 2025. As a result, it decided to modify its network, reducing trans-border flying by close to 10%, with a 15% cut during what were historically peak travel times. WestJet says it sees no indication that this trend will change in the foreseeable future and is anticipating further reduction to its trans-border network this year.
You remember when I did the report on Air Canada? I knew we would get more reports on this. But the fact that Air Canada was already planning for next year's Snowbird season, it's an automatic that WestJet, Flair, and even Porter would probably start thinking the same thing as well. They're not even thinking about the summer season. They're going beyond that and starting to plan for next year's Snowbird season.
Now the airlines are saying, wow, this thing looks like it's got more legs to it than we thought. So we're going to redeploy.
John Graddick says over the holidays, airlines refocused their planes to sunny destinations outside of the U.S. Both WestJet and Flair say they've increased capacity to other vacation spots.
Whether it's Mexico, whether it's the Caribbean, whether it's Central America, Latin America, South America, there's a lot more services, a lot more flights, a lot of new cities that we've never served before that are showing up on the screens.
Now, as much as we hate our national airlines for nickel and diming us, and even WestJet for pulling that stunt, trying to squeeze in a few more seats into their plane, I'm actually happy that they're giving us more options. I know they're not thinking about us, to be honest. I mean, they're thinking about their own profit margins, right? But it's good to have other options to be able to fly to outside of the United States.
Demand for sun markets dies down in the summer. Graddick expects airlines will continue avoiding U.S. routes.
They'll have more services in Canada for those carriers that have the ability to do that, and you'll see a lot more international services. So more services to Asia, more services to Europe, maybe more services to South America.
There have also been fewer Canadians making return trips to the U.S. by car. Statistics Canada reported a year-over-year drop of more than 30% in December.
Now think about all the people who went on vacation last year to the United States and couldn't cancel their trip, or they paid in 2024. Those travelers are most likely not going to be going to the United States this year. So in my non-expert opinion, if I use Vancouver to LA as an example, and let's say, for example, they had 7 flights per day. This was before the Orange McNugget decided to screw up the relationship. And since then, it was reduced to 4 per day. Well, I think this year, it might even be further reduced to like maybe 3 or 2. Now, I'm just using random numbers here, and they're not accurate. So please don't dogpile on me saying my numbers are incorrect. But what I'm trying to show, and what I'm trying to make sure everyone understands, is that what we saw in 2025 is going to further decline. And I think the airlines are understanding that as well. Now, speaking of decline, I have a report out of Las Vegas, and these CEOs are in denial. Let's take a look.
Las Vegas is not dead. That is the message from 2 businessmen with decades of experience here in the city.
They talked about the city's recent struggles with tourism during a panel led by the LVCVA this morning. Bill Hornbuckle, president and CEO of MGM Resorts, and Keith Smith, president and CEO of Boyd Gaming, shared the same message during that talk. While they both acknowledged the drop in tourism over the past year, Smith says he believes this is just a short-term setback.
Las Vegas will continue to rebound over the course of time. How long this will last? Will it last down to 6 months, another year? My crystal ball isn't that clear. But I am confident and have tremendous confidence in the long-term future of Las Vegas that we will continue to grow. We will grow through this dip, and that's what it is. It's a dip.
Smith says there is still a core demand for Las Vegas and everything it has to offer.
Now, I want the viewer's opinion on this. Do you think Las Vegas is going to rebound? Sure, they have the domestic tourism industry, but we all know that they don't spend as much and they don't stay as long. But the key thing that they are going to miss moving forward, and for the foreseeable future, is new money coming in from the international community. The MGM CEO, last year, I can't find the report, but he did acknowledge that the Canadian tourists do contribute a huge amount to his company. And with things getting more expensive in the United States, how much longer can you rely on the domestic tourism industry? But not only that, who the hell wants to pay like $9 for a coffee and like $30 or $35 for a burger? Let me know in the comments if you agree with me on my take. I'm not an expert, but I'm just using common sense. So let me know in the comments below. And if you agree with me, and you're not subscribed to my channel, and you want to hear things from a Canadian point of view, how about my channel by hitting the subscribe button below? Now, speaking of another denial case, I want to talk about Florida. Now their news stations are saying that they're trying to win Canadians back. Let's take a look at this one.
Right now, Florida leaders are trying to woo Canadian tourists after a steep drop in visits from our neighbors to the north. Gulf Coast News anchor Chrissy Soto explains how it's affecting our economy.
Florida tourism leaders are planning meetings with Canadian officials to keep Florida on Canada's vacation radar. Visit Florida CEO Brian Griffin and hospitality leader Carol Dover are going to meetings and trade shows in Toronto and Vancouver. Canadian visits to Florida dropped to about more than 500,000 in late 2025, down from nearly 600,000 the year before, far below pre-pandemic highs. Meanwhile, overall travel to Florida is still inching upwards, with more than 34 million visitors in just one quarter. Tourism leaders say the message is simple. Politics aside, Florida still wants Canadians to feel at home here in the Sunshine State. And while numbers dipped earlier in the year, officials say recent trends are improving.
Remember when I said that these news reports always have to end on a positive note? Well, this is a classic example. Sure, maybe the domestic might be improving, but this report would not exist if there wasn't any problems. But you know what really pisses me off? Is when these tourism officials say, put politics aside, we still want you to enjoy Florida. So what they're really saying is, just ignore the guy that I probably voted for, the one who's actually trying to take over your country, call you the 51st state, and call your prime minister the governor. Just ignore all of that and still come to Florida and spend your money. So what do I say to these tourism officials? Screw off. And I hope your trip to Vancouver and Toronto are a waste of time. See, it's shit like this that really pisses me off. They expect us just to drop everything, forget about all of the bullshit that comes up, forget about all the disrespect, and all the insults, even from their own citizens. Yet they still want us to come visit and spend our money. Well, screw off, seriously. I would love to be face to face with these tourism officials, but I might end up throwing as many F-bombs as Josh does in his videos. Anyways, let me know your thoughts on this report in the comments. Now, sticking on the Florida topic, there's an event that has been going on for years that was just recently canceled this year. And I want to thank one of our Discord community members for sending this over to me. This event, called the Snowbird Extravaganza, was geared towards Canadians, more specifically the Snowbirds. But due to the lack of interest from the vendors, as well as participants, they canceled, and it's been running since 1995. I wasn't aware of what this is, but I found a promo video for their event last year. Let's take a look.
Snowbird Extravaganza is returning to the RP Funding Center on Tuesday, January 28th and Wednesday, January 29th. Celebrate the winter visitor lifestyle. We have door prizes, exhibits, feature areas, a hospitality center, the Superdog Show, and 2 stages featuring the entertainment of John Wing, Next Generation Leahy, Michelle Wright, John McDermott, and our other special guests. Snowbird Extravaganza, January 28th and 29th at the RP Funding Center. Admission is free, doors open at 9 a.m. Sponsored by Medipac Travel Insurance.
Why do US commercials always sound like they're for a monster truck event? Anyways, the article says, we're heartbroken because we love doing this. We've been doing it since 1995. We consider it to be a staple since 1995, and we consider it to be a staple of the winter visitor experience. And yeah, we're proud to be part of it. Well, let me ask you something. What has changed since 1995? I mean, you guys survived through COVID, you survived through 9/11, all these other major incidents. I mean, you had an event last year, but you're not having it this year. So I wonder what happened. The article has a statement. Due to the lack of support from local national businesses and the decline of interest from guests attending our events, we have made the difficult decision to suspend our events in southern United States at this point in time. All Snowbird Extravaganzas and CSA winter information meetings have been canceled for 2026. Now, I'm not a detective or anything, but I did play this game a lot when I was a kid. But with all the clues that we have, the report earlier about wanting Canadians to come back, this event being canceled, many snowbirds saying that they're not going down. I think Florida has a problem. And I'm not even mentioning all the previous reports that I did, like that Fort Lauderdale tourism executive that was begging us to come back, or this hotel owner also begging us to come back, or all the restaurants and shop owners who were just so used to Canadians coming down and spending their money, all now closed. I'm finding it really hard to have any sympathy for Florida at the moment. I know there are great people there. I have a lot of Florida viewers in my channel. But unfortunately, your colleagues, like this person here who posted this on Reddit, are the ones that are souring it for all of Canadians coming down. But not only that, you have an idiot for a governor. So I want this report that I did on Florida to negate anyone's worries that our boycott is not affecting Florida, because it is. The clues are there, you just gotta put them together. Now I want to end this video with some comments from our community on the topic of Florida. The first one is from MoCat1. Friends of my parents had a place in Florida for years. They sold it about 20 years ago, as even then the snarky, snide, and abusive comments about Canadians were getting more intense and frequent, followed by a, oh, but it's not you, or it's just a joke. See, this is not just happening now. This has been happening for like decades. And I think everyone now is just getting fed up. This next one here is from JTB8515. JTB8155. Sorry about that. We owned a beachfront condo in Florida with mostly Canadian owners. As soon as the Orange McNugget was elected, not inaugurated, we sold our condo and received top dollar for our property. Canadians that didn't sell within the first 8 weeks have struggled to sell. Between the 3 hurricanes on the Gulf Coast and the Orange McNugget, the housing market in Florida has collapsed. Well done on getting out right away, because I have done reports and there are still snowbirds that are struggling to sell. And if they can't sell, they have to use it. So good on you for seeing the writing on the wall. Now this last one is actually from a Florida resident named Carol, US citizen in Florida, specifically living in the MAGA district. What is occurring in the US is an absolute disgrace, and I am disgusted with the political leadership from the top to bottom, from both sides in all levels. Government agencies murdering people in broad daylight with impunity, elected officials failing to uphold constitutional rights, double standards based on political affiliation. It's totalitarianism, fascism, and authoritarianism come to life and being allowed to happen by weak governments at all levels. The US is the world's laughingstock, a dictator's dream with our cognitively impaired dear leader, aka fascist clown, being allowed to run all rings of the circus. Canadians, keep yourself safe within your borders or go to countries that respect your sovereignty. Spend your money on Canadian products or with countries that support your sovereignty. Your boycott is effective and having an impact. I wanted to read out this comment to the viewers for 2 reasons. The first reason is to let everybody know that we still have friends in Florida, despite everything that the MAGA say, or even DeSantis. And the second reason, Floridians are actually telling us the boycott is working. No matter what the media says, no matter what the tourism officials say, or how they try to spin it around, I would trust the word from a Floridian in terms of how our boycott is doing. So thank you, Carol, for your comment. Okay, everyone, that's all I got for today's video. If you found any value in anything I said today, or you want to continue hearing more from a Canadian point of view, help out my channel by hitting that like and subscribe button below. Now, for those of you who want updates on the co-host, I have no idea where she is. The door's wide open and she hasn't walked in once. So I guess you guys are going to have to wait till the next video. Sorry about that. Well, one more thing before I go. I want to thank everybody who attended my spur-of-the-moment live stream. I've been kind of avoiding it for the last little while, but I figure I need to just get out of my box and try it. It's still a weird feeling for me that I'm talking to myself in the room. Now, many of you have told me that you missed it, but then again, I didn't really tell anybody. So the next time I have one, I will give everyone at least a couple days notice. So stay tuned for the future live stream. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. I'll see you in the next one.